Hello everybody. Sorry I'm late. I I do you know when you look at the clock and you don't expect the time you see? That's what happened to me. I thought I had an extra hour and I looked at the clock. I was like, "Oh crap. I have to start in 20 minutes." That's what happened to me. That's why I'm late. Uh Speaking of which, I do need to upload the map update because I have actually finished the map update, but I haven't uploaded it yet. So that's what I'm doing right now, and hopefully, Google didn't mess up again and mess up the export as it does almost every single time. But maybe this time is different. Maybe this time it worked like it's supposed to. You never. I mean, with Google, you just have to assume it probably didn't. Let's see. Let's see, because there really wasn't a big map update. Anyway, territorial. Oh yeah, I always forget I have to reload it twice. That's weird, Martin. Why do I have to reload it twice? Did you ever? Is that like a thing? Anyway. Uh, well, it's a great sign that it didn't upload. Am I on the wrong day? I'm on the wrong day. I'm on the wrong day. It's cool. It's cool. We figure these things out together. But yeah. So as the map does its thing. Okay, cool. It loaded. Sweet. See, this was a map change. There was this video that came out today. It was actually pretty exciting to geolocate this one because it was a difficult ish, not that hard, but it was a difficult ish to locate, and I spent the time doing it, and then I was happy I did because it changed the map. It's always fun when you spend the extra few minutes to geolocate a video and it changes the map. Uh, so yeah, I should send out like a tweet that I started the stream as as would logic would dictate that you do something like that. Okay, so how y'all doing? Uh, anyways, so I was asked to make a positive stream today. Positivity. Um, I'm not sure I have much of that, but there was something cool that happened today. Actually, I don't know if this was today, but the video came out today. It was a Gimler strike. I don't. You guys have probably seen this, but there's a Gimler strike on this. I guess I can share this, right? Um, this was a Gimler strike, right? Uh, so you see all these trucks. There's some Kamaz, there's some Urals, there's this thing in the back. I don't even know what that is. It's that truck that I can never ID. But anyways, look at all these trucks. They're just chilling. They're just having fun. I don't know what that truck is, but anyways, these guys are all like they're all getting ready. They're all getting ready for something. What are they getting ready for? They're getting ready for some gimblers. Anyway, there's one Gimler there. There's another Gimler back here. Yeah, there's this second Gimler, and these trucks in the middle. They're just like, okay, bye. They're like, oh. But these guys, that one caught fire. Uh, then we can move on a little bit. There's finally another Gimler at the end. So that's like good news. that's good news, right? So in here we had this one truck. I don't know how to identify it. It's one of those trucks that what's it called? Like a ZIL, the ZIL, whatever. Anyway, I don't know how to identify that truck. But anyway, it's a truck. And then there are two Urals that got damaged. One of them exploded, and then three Kamas got damaged by two Gimlers in the front there. Uh, so yeah, that was right here. So uh, and I believe those trucks were going this way. They're going southwest. I think that's the direction of their travel. So I don't know where they're going, where they're coming from, but that's what happened. Yeah. So yeah. Where to start? Where to start? Um, I guess I'll start in the most obvious place, which is around Bakhmut. Around Bakhmut. And I really should probably change the map around here, as you can see some of these the big ups. See, this is if I was trying to rush out the map update, so I didn't really make that many changes other than that one I noted before. But this is all going to be changed. This is going to be made a gray area after the stream when I have another few minutes to update the map. But so this is some shelling that's been going on. But okay, the area around Klashivka, Russia's very strongly attacking here. Now, their goal is incoherent. Uh, what I, it really strikes me as as though the person who planned this attack has no idea what Klashivka is, because Klashivka, as we know, because we know what Klashivka is, it's a big hill. There's a big hill back here, and on top of the hill, there's this really, you know, dug in trench system. It has all these bunkers. Like here's a bunker, there's a bunker, everywhere there's a bunker. There's tunnels that go, through the hill, connecting bunkers through the hill. And then there's these trenches you can see. So this is really what Klashivka is this hill. What Klashivka is, maybe to someone who is not very smart, they think of this town as Klashivka, but this town could not be more irrelevant. The town means nothing. It means nothing. The hill is everything. But it appears that the Russians desire to take the town back, but with no apparent desire to take the hill. They only want the town. So, in order to take the hill, there's really two ways to get the hill. The first way would be to push up here, because this, I guess we should look at this in 3D. Uh, look at it in 3D. It makes more sense that way, because we are talking in the third dimension. So I need to set up my third dimension here to make it all line up and look nice. Okay, so I'll close that. The zoom out and find where we are and zoom back in. Okay, so um, here's the hill. So one way to attack this hill would be to push up here, which Russia has been attempting, but not in big numbers. But you would push up here. You'd probably set up around here somewhere to dig in, and then you would assault along this tree line to attack this trench. But you see, this trench, they kind of figured you'd try that, so they built a trench there too. It's not only over here, there's a trench here. And we've seen Russians attempt to do this a number of times. I don't know if you remember, they did their big tank push where they ran a bunch of tanks up here and then they rolled all the way down and they all exploded like roughly here-ish. if you remember. They lost a whole bunch of like T-80s and BMPs and everything trying to do that. That didn't work out so well. So this is one way to attack the hill. It's the weaker way. This is the weaker way to attack the hill. The stronger and smarter way to attack the hill would be to go through Andriivka up to around here, where you see the hill is, more chill, more relaxed, and you would work your way up probably this tree line and try to get up here and then attack the hill from this direction. That would be the smarter way. They're not really trying that. They're more going for just the town. They're just going for the town, really. So you see them assaulting this way to get back this railway. Now, getting back the railway would be logical. I could see the logic in getting the railway, but they don't seem to be going for the railway. They seem to be going for the town itself. They seem to want to capture the town. What do you do with the town? I don't know. There's not even really a town. All these structures are gone. All the houses are gone. What would you do with it? Even if you had it, what would you do with it? I don't know. So, but they appear to be going for the town. They appear to be going across this railroad. They're trying to attack here. They're trying to capture kind of this position. They're trying to capture this position. Now, some people are saying that they already have captured some of this. I haven't really seen evidence of that, but maybe they have. So I don't really see the point of this. Now, when I read comments from soldiers who are fighting in this area, um, the people I'm closer to, the people that I know and I talk to sometimes, they are very personally worried about their personal safety. Uh, that's to put it bluntly. They're worried about themselves. Um, they're scared of what's going to happen in Klashivka. They're scared of a big battle, basically, because it's such an awful place to fight because there is nothing left. They already had the giant battle here. Now you have to keep in mind that like all these trees are gone. All the trees are gone. All the buildings are gone. I mean the roads are basically gone. There's nothing. There's nothing here. Now we have some videos showing how much nothing is there. Maybe I can find one. Not sure how to find it. Okay, so I think if I maybe if I do this. No. Oh, maybe that was it. Maybe that was it. Maybe this is it. Yeah, this is it. Okay. Let's uh let's watch this. This will show you how much nothing is here. Is this a video or a photograph? I think it's a photograph. It's disappointing. I was hoping it was a video. I know there is a video though. Maybe I should have to go back in time further. Uh, my computer is very unhappy right now. It's like, man, you're using too much RAM. I have a lot of RAM on my computer too. I have 32 gigs, and my computer is just like, this is not enough. This is not enough RAM. You need more RAM. Okay, so uh, view on Telegram. Okay, I think this should be the video. So this is the town that I apparently want to fight over. There's really nothing there. There's nothing. Um, so what is the point of even trying to capture this? Because let's think of the best case scenario. Think if you capture the town, now you're sitting in a pile of ruin at the bottom of the hill with your enemy on top of the hill. That's your best case scenario. That doesn't seem like a good best case scenario. Thank you, Violet. Thank you. So, if your best case scenario is sitting in a ruin in the bottom of a hill, what is even the point? It just strikes me that this fighting for Klashivka is more of a political battle, because I feel if it were a military endeavor, if this were more military, instead of attacking here and here, you'd be attacking this way. Like you'd be attacking maybe through Kurdyivka to go up like that, because that would hurt Ukraine in so many different ways. You know, because you'd be cutting off supplies to Andrivka. You you you'd be damaging the flank of Klashivka. This would I think this would be more logical. Attacking here, I can understand taking the railroad, but that's about it. Um, Political is it just strikes me that Russia's attacking here because this was one of the biggest victories of the Ukrainian offensive. That's just what I mean. Anyways, so this Klashivka area, it's a very tense situation. From what I read just a few minutes ago, there were something like 20 assault attempts on Klashivka today, attacking in multiple directions, sometimes multiple directions simultaneously. You could pretty much say the same about this Berhivka Bodanivka area, where Russia is attempting to move down this railway here. And I've said this kind of before, where I think Ukraine is going to withdraw to a certain point, and I don't know where that point is. It could be where they are right now, but I think they're going to withdraw to a certain point and then dig in, and then they're going to hold it. It could be where they are now. Now I know that Russia did advance through. I'll go to the other map. They've advanced. They did advance through here and kind of into here, and Ukraine did a counterattack and pushed them all out. Now, I don't know exactly where the front line is. I've heard it is basically along this tree line to there. I've heard that's more or less the front line, and everywhere kind of south of this, like this whole area here, is a gray area. And I do know that Ukraine has done counterattacks to push Russia out of this gray area, but I don't know if Ukraine is capable of holding this ground. Now, it is interesting. There was a drone on drone combat here, which we can view. Uh, this is a drone combat. So the the view that we have is the Russian drone, and that drone there is presumably a Ukrainian drone. Either that or that the Russian drone is destroying another Russian drone. But well, let's assume it's a Ukrainian drone on the bottom, and the Russian drone's trying to take it out. Now, obviously, that drone doesn't know he's being hunted. If it knew it was being hunted, it would probably just fly away. But or I guess fly straight up, because you obviously want to be the high drone in the fight. So, anyways, this is it's very exciting drone on drone combat. Uh, it's also dangerous. You have a solid chance of breaking yourself. You know, this in this case, it seems that the Russian drone. You can see that the Ukrainian drone falling right there. I don't know if you saw it. It's like a little white smudge that you could see falling to the ground. But anyways, that occurred roughly here. Um, so yeah, this area, uh, it's also hot in the same way that Klashivka is hot. Pretty much everything you can say about Klashivka, um, regarding there being 20 plus assaults here during the course of the day. It's probably more or less similar up here too, where Russia is assaulting and assaulting and assaulting. Ukraine is occasionally counterattacking, and I don't know of any territorial changes in either of these areas in the past day or two. Say that's and I guess maybe you could count this as a territorial change where Ukraine is dropping DPICM or DPICM if you're a nerd. Anyway, dropping them around here. So I'm gonna make this area basically just make the gray area bigger. I don't actually think Russia controls that, but um, so anyway, so that's one little theater, I guess you could call it. One little pocket of fighting. Now there is the Avdiivka area. Now Avdiivka, I'm not too optimistic about the fate of Avdiivka. I assume I'm just gonna say it up front. I assume Ukraine is gonna lose Avdiivka. So uh, when, how, I'm not sure. I don't know if it'll. I don't think it's gonna fall like tomorrow, but I think eventually. I don't think Ukraine can hold Avdiivka. But maybe I'll be wrong. I don't know. But it seems that Russia has two things that they're doing currently. Two things. I'm gonna go to the topo map just for fun, just because I just like looking at it. Russia's doing two things. First thing that they're doing is that they are pushing along uh, this railway. They're pushing along the railway to the northwest. The other thing they're doing is they are pushing towards the coke plant. So these are kind of the two main things that they're doing. Well, I guess the third thing is they're also moving towards this town of Stepova. So, but the main things that they're doing, I don't really consider this town to be the main objective. It's just kind of, I mean, obviously there's a town there, you might as well capture it. I don't really consider that a big deal personally, but moving along this rail is a really big deal, and going to the coke plant is a really big deal. Now, going to the coke plant, this is a very small distance, but it's a very difficult distance to move because Ukraine finds this area so important, so they're defending it very strongly. Now, Ukraine tried to defend this railway, but they were unable to do so. Now, you could ask, why are they unable to defend this? In my opinion, they're unable to defend due to lack of air power. I mean, you don't need air superiority or air dominance or whatever to defend this area with air power. Really, what you need is really big bombs. You just need big bombs, like 1,000 pound bombs, 2,000 pound bombs, just big bombs. And I don't think Ukraine really has access to that, unfortunately. Obviously, they cannot fly over this area because if you got close to flying here, you get shot down. Um, so what you need to do is you need to be dropping bombs from probably out here with glide kits. I believe those glide kits have a range of about 40 kilometers, give or take. So this is like a 40-kilometer circle. So you could drop bombs like out here, um, and you would loft them into the air so they would get their distance and hit around here. So um, Ukraine obviously has these glide kits, but we almost never see them. We see like one a month. Now I don't know how many they're dropping. I honestly have no idea. They could be dropping one or two a day, for all I know. But in my opinion, in order to clear out this sort of area, you need access to bombs, because artillery is not really that great at rooting people out of a trench system. Once they dig in, it's hard to get them out with artillery. You can cause attritional damage with artillery. Artillery is really better at stopping advances than it is for driving people out of trenches. But what's good at getting people out of a trench, or at least it's good at clearing the trench, is just a really big bomb. It's a real big bomb. Because the trench can protect you from shrapnel, but it's not that great at protecting you from overpressure from a real big bomb. But I don't think Ukraine really has that. I don't. They might be able to drop a few, but I don't think they have the capability of dropping a lot of bombs. Now, on paper, they probably could drop bombs, but you have to keep in mind that there are a few things stopping them from doing that. First, do these sorts of every time you use your air assets, you put those assets in danger. You put it in danger of getting shot down while in the air, and you put it in danger of being destroyed on the ground when it's refueling, etc. Because these planes, unfortunately, don't really have that great of a range, so they have to be pretty close to the front to be used. Now, you saw planes in Kryvyi Rih, in Mykolaiv, getting hit by lancets. That's a risk you take when you use your planes. You take the risk of not only getting shot down in the air, but being destroyed on the ground. Um, Another risk that you take is that your airframes can only do so many combat missions, and Ukrainian airframes are not spring chickens. They're not baby airplanes. These are airframes that have gone through a lot already. A lot of them are on their last legs, and you don't know how many combat sorties these airframes are even capable of doing. Or at least I don't know. Maybe Ukraine knows. I don't know. But I assume it's not that many. And they're doing a lot of sorties. They're just on their own. They are flying these planes a lot. So it's just there's a lot of risks in doing these sorts of bombing missions. A lot going into it. A lot of decisions going on. So, well, in my opinion, bombs are really kind of the only thing that Ukraine can do to push back Russia at this point. I don't think you can push them back on the ground. At least not right now. Like maybe if Ukraine stops this whole assault and Russia withdraws a bunch of guys and they leave behind like a brigade or something, maybe then you could start pushing them back. But right now, when Russia is committing their forces to advance, you can't push them back realistically. Um, they don't have the artillery ammunition to push them back, and I don't even know if artillery can push them back, honestly. Uh, they barely have the artillery ammo to stop them from advancing. So uh, this is why I don't really think Avdiivka is going to be held for long. Yeah, one is the positive. Sorry, I'm being positive. Say, I gave a positive way that you could frame it. You just need more bombs, right? That's positive.
The positive aspect will come in, oh God, like 4 months from now when they actually have 4 to 5, maybe however many months from now until they actually have some F-16s that should help with the sortie generation rate. It isn't clear to me right now if the limiting factor for JDAM ER is the availability of the munitions with the glide kits themselves, or just the sortie rate that the Ukrainians can generate with the MiG-29s and the Su-27s. But in any case, hopefully the production situation will have improved over the next 4 to 5 months, hopefully. And then also hopefully at the same time they'll start to get the F-16s, and they should be able to kind of begin to push that sortie rate up a bit, if everything works out well.
Yeah. By the way, that's John talking. This the voice that showed up is John Ridge. Uh, yeah. So I don't know. I'm trying to be positive here, John. I don't have much positivity right now, but I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I mean, there isn't really a quick fix to this. We have a lot of capacity for small diameter bombs, which are purpose built GPS INS guided glide bombs. The issue is we don't actually have those integrated in or with the Su-27s and the MiG-29s, but that'll come with the F-16s, hopefully. We have a good bit of capacity doing nothing for those. I think, what is it? Boeing's annual capacity at max rate is 8,000 units per year, 8,000 bombs. They currently only have like 1,000 to 1,500 of those units booked out with current U.S. Air Force, U.S. Navy, and FMS foreign military sale orders. Some of that remaining slack capacity is going to be obviously expended trying to meet the needs for GLSDB, ground launched small diameter bomb production, but there should be a good bit of that. My only concern there would be that Ukraine might need to get them directly off the production line, which would string things out rather than getting them via drawdown directly from U.S. inventory, because we only have about 30,000 of them in inventory, which is our current inventory objective, granted. But we aren't really in a good position to part with a lot of them because our replacement for SDB2, the GBU 58 Stormbreaker, that program has been like delayed a year and a half because of some manufacturing issues on Raytheon's end. So we haven't procured nearly the number that we would like to be able to begin kind of pushing SDB back to that secondary role. I think, what is it? We have 5,000 SDB2s on order, and the inventory objective is well in excess of 30,000. So we're like a year and a half, maybe 2 years behind on that. So it's going to be difficult. It's going to be an uphill battle to get the U.S. Air Force and the U.S. Navy to part with our existing stock.
Do you know how high a plane has to be to launch these bombs? Like, do you have like a chart?
That's the existence of any such chart is at a minimum export controlled, and more likely, assuming it's not CUI, it's probably classified. I've asked around. I got strong, resounding no's from everybody. Yeah, the kinetic or the kinematic performance of any of these munitions from a given release altitude and release airspeed, that is almost certainly privileged information that I definitely don't personally have access to, and even if I did, I couldn't share it on air. So unfortunately, no. You're going to get the public figure is 110 kilometers for SDB from high altitude, and we have no idea what airspeed and what altitude that means numerically.
Are there any like back of the envelope calculations?
Not really. I mean, you need to guess the glide ratio. You need to, there's so many variables that go into it. You could do the math, but you'd be plugging in basically total guesses for certain values. So the accuracy of that modeling would be dependent on basically how accurate your guess is. And that's not something we have, the ability to do, is to guess that accurately, really.
Okay. Anyways, do you know how many sorties their planes are doing?
I think it's like 50 per day. I think roughly it's double digits. It's less than 100, I think. It's not that many, all things considered. I want to say the Russians are like doing somewhere in the range of 200 to 300 per day. The Ukrainians are well under 100.
Yeah. I mean, just the other day, Russia dropped 80 bombs on Kherson in an afternoon, and that wasn't the whole day. That was just one afternoon because they dropped more that night.
Yeah, the limited number of airframes that the Ukrainians have access to currently, as well as the fact that most of them are at the towards the end of their lifespan, plus whatever damage they've suffered over the past 18 months. That is currently really limiting their ability to generate sorties. Again, just because they probably only have probably a couple dozen. For example, just focusing on the fighters, on the MiG 29s and Su 27s, they probably only have 36, 48 left in total that are operational. Probably maybe a little bit less, plus however many, a dozen or two Su 24Ms, maybe a few dozen Su 25s. There's going to be a lot of them that are just basically sitting on the tarmac, with very limited allocated flight hours remaining, that they aren't going to sortie unless, if there's an air raid, that they need to engage or something like that. They're really constrained by both the current condition and number of their airframes.
Yeah, they just need new planes.
Yeah,
like
the MLUs. Yeah, well, the MLUs, they aren't great. They're better than the MiGs and the Suhois, that's for sure. But they're towards the end of their service lives. Ukraine will need new aircraft eventually, but the MLUs we could be able to coast them through most of the remainder of the war using those. Ideally, they would get an infusion of much more newer or much more recent and hopefully just upgraded F-16s from the United States, in addition to the MLUs, which are a mixture of Block 10, Block 15, Block 20, or originally anyways, airframes. Hopefully get some US Block 40s or Block 50s that are vastly more capable on the air-to-air side and get an infusion of those. But at some point post-war, they're going to have to order new airframes because those MLUs will be falling apart, 3-4 years from now.
So that's our positivity, guys. Maybe one day. Yeah, and then I guess in spring, right? So in spring there'll be an infusion.
Yeah, spring to summer is what I'm currently somewhere in that transition period is what I'm kind of guesstimating.
Yeah. So, do the glide kits have a size? Do they? Because I've heard most of them are 500 500 pounders, right?
Yeah. So Boeing is offering two different sizes. They're offering a 500-pound size for the Mark 82 general purpose bombs and a 2,000-pound size for the Mark 84 general purpose bombs. The 500-pound kit's the only one in production. I don't think they've finished development of the 2,000-pound version yet. So the only thing that's available physically is the 500-pound kit right now.
That's what I thought. That's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate.
I'm not sure. So part of the issue here is that the United States, really the U.S. Air Force and the U.S. Navy aren't really procuring these. The U.S. Navy is procuring some glide kits for the Quick Strike Mine series to create Quick Strike ER extended range. But beyond that, and I believe procurement of the kits was supposed to begin in the current fiscal year 2024, which hasn't actually been enacted yet because political stuff, but I digress. The Air Force hasn't purchased any of these kits before, and the Navy was just beginning to purchase very small numbers of them. And I'm not sure, it doesn't seem like the development received a particularly large amount of money from the Air Force or the Navy. So we have very little information about what the status of the program is, because essentially at this point, it's, again, a small number of kits that are going to be ordered for the U.S. Navy. And I think there's already been, one contract for them. And then there's the USAI contract for Ukraine, and that's it. So we don't have the normally we get a massive amount of information about these programs through the P1s, the procurement books that the Department of Defense submits every, before the beginning of each fiscal year as to what their budget ask is for Congress. So you have your procurement books, your research and development, test and evaluation books, your operations, maintenance, personnel, and all that stuff. Normally we get a massive amount of information from those. Then there's like selected acquisition reports that have detailed breakdowns of programs. It's really, really great, fantastic. But again, because we've only had one contract from the Navy and one USAI contract plus an FMS contract to Australia, that's it. We don't really have the information, any meaningful information on the status of the program or production, just because, again, there hasn't been a need for Boeing to disclose it because there hasn't been much buy-in from the DoD.
Okay. I'm surprised like Israel didn't buy them. They seem to like big bombs.
They produce their own. So the Spice 1000, which is a PGM kit for the Mark 82, the Mark 83 1,000 pound bomb, that is a glide kit. That has wings. So they produce their own.
Oh. Yeah, it's just the Ukraine needs big bombs. They just need, like, the bigger the better, because they're not. I mean, they do hit buildings and things like that, but for the most part, they need to just clear trenches. They need to just take out positions, and I'm not sure how else you do it.
So in terms of what they're likely to get, it's going to be mostly 500 pound stuff because that's just what the U.S. has. We have large quantities of 1,000 pound and 2,000 pound bombs, but our go-to is the 500 pound Mark 82 and its derivatives. So the GBU 28, GBU 38 with JDAM, and then whatever. I think it's the GBU 12. I might be totally wrong with Paveway 2 kit, the laser guidance kit. But that's going to be our mainstay. So they're going to be kind of dependent on mostly 500 pounders just because of that, because it's just what we have the most of on hand.
Does anybody in Europe use bigger bombs, or is it just like Israel?
I mean, Germany, Europe's weird. So Germany has JDAM. They don't have very many. I don't think the UK doesn't operate JDAM. They use Paveway 4, which is 500 pounders. Most everybody kind of has focused on the 500 pounders. I mean, I'm sure they probably have some 2,000 pound bombs, especially the BLU 109s, for example, the Earth Penetrator, which is compatible with the 2,000 pound kit and the tail kit, etc. But the Israelis, they're the ones that are really, they love the 2,000 pounders. Everybody else has kind of preferred the smaller bombs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the smaller bombs are more of like a general use, so it makes sense.
Yeah, well, the other thing is, at least here in the U.S. side of things, so that's what I can speak to, is we have a very strong interest in civilian harm mitigation, as it's called, and minimizing collateral damage and as part of our targeting and strike process. So that's really, if you actually go back and look at the development of these programs, they all started out using Mark 84s, basically. Paveway was first got integrated with, I think, the 2,000 pounder with the Mark 84, and then it was in parallel with a different kit called Bolt for the 750 pounder bombs. JDAM started out as being for the Mark 84. Its interim predecessor, GAM, GPS aided munition, which was like kind of a crash program to get something interim during the Yugoslav wars in Kosovo. That was 2,000 pounders. And then from there, we expanded it to 1,000 and 2,000 pound, Mark 83s, Mark 82s. And, once we had validated that, both laser guidance in the 70s and then, in the 90s, GPS guidance. And then from there, we just kind of focused on the 500 pounders, because that's the easiest way for us to mitigate civilian casualties and collateral damage. And that's also how we ended up with the small diameter bomb, 250 pounds, very extraordinarily precise. That's, kind of our go-to weapon. Nowadays, I would say a small diameter bomb is probably considered more important than JDAM from a U.S. perspective because of that.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense for the U.S. to use a 500 pound because it's probably better at most things. It's just this is like the one thing it's not as good at is clearing trenches or clearing these defensive positions.
Well, the other thing is that the U.S. has a focus on not just effect on target, but how many targets can you prosecute with a given number of platforms? Or in other words, how many aim points can a given platform hold at risk? And if you have a look, so take an F-16, for example, given with the constraints for takeoff weight, you can put 4 GBU-31s, which are the 2,000 pounders on there. Or you can put 4 GBU-32s, which are the 1,000 pounders on there. So you can prosecute up to 4 aim points with those munitions. Well, take a GBU-38, the 500 pounder. Well, you can put 8 of those on an F-16 because rather than having 1 per pylon, you can have 2 per pylon. So that aircraft can now hold 8 aim points at risk. And then let's go to small diameter bomb. Well, they come in racks of 4, where there's 4 hard points. So you can put, 16 small diameter bombs on an F-16, just again, theoretical maximums here, and you can hold 16 aim points at risk. So the operational requirement to minimize civilian harm to the maximum extent reasonable, as well as the operational need to be able to hold as many aim points at risk as possible, has driven us towards smaller munitions that can be mounted on delivery platforms in greater quantities.
Yeah. And it's almost always better. Like I completely agree. It's almost always better. It's just that this is when you want big. It's just like it's just and even maybe even most of the time in Ukraine, you would be fine with the smaller bombs. It's just this very specific event, and the same with like Rabatana and any time when you need to clear these heavily defended positions, you just need big bombs.
Yeah, what it would probably look like in reality, an ideal weaponeering approach would probably be, 500 pounders for most of these positions. And then for like hard points, casement structures, bunkers that have been in place. In those instances, you'd want to go for 1,000 pounders, or, since we're specifically in the context of JDAM ER kits here, 2,000 pounders in this case. Potentially if it's really, really is hardened, then you can look at things like BLU 109 penetrators, which is like a hardened penetrator warhead that has the rough form factor of the GB of the Mark 84 and shares the same guidance kit, JDAM kit, I should say. So that's what you'd want to kind of look at, is prosecute most of your aim points with the softer aim points with 500 pounders, and then for the hardened ones, go for the 2,000 pounders. So bunkers, casements, etc.
Yeah. But anyways, um, getting back to Avdiivka, it seems that Russia's main focus is on this northern part of Avdiivka. I'm not so sure that they're so much focusing on the southern part. They may have given up on the southern part to a certain extent because it's very difficult to move here, especially towards kind of this direction of towards Avdiivka from Vodiana, towards the northeast from Vodiana. Very difficult to move through this terrain. It's very flat. It's very dangerous to move through. Now, the other day, there was some interesting video. I definitely can't show it because it's very graphic, but it had Ukrainian infantry moving through this lowland here towards Vodiana. Now, I'll show this in 3 dimensions so you can see what kind of lowland we're talking about. But this kind of I don't know if this was a counterattack or what, but there was a whole bunch of Ukrainian infantry moving along what is this, like a ravine, whatever. Anyway, so I don't know water words at all. I need to learn them at one point, but not yet. Anyway, so they're moving along here, trying to move towards this sand quarry, and they're being attacked around here with Russian drones. Now, obviously, I don't know exactly what happened once they moved past that point or what the results of this were, but that was all pretty interesting to me, that Ukraine appeared to be doing some sort of attack or counterattack. Um, but generally speaking, Russia is having a lot of trouble moving through here. Some are saying that Ukraine counterattacked and retook this position. I don't think Russia ever actually captured it. I think people were just jumping the gun too much. And similarly, Russia's been having a lot of trouble moving up towards Tonenka from Vodyana. So basically, Russia's stuck in Vodyana. You could pretty much boil it down to that. They can't leave Vodyana. Instead, they're really focusing on moving on north towards Stepova, towards Berdichi, and towards Novobakhmutivka. Now, um, there is a post today that I kind of wanted to show, and I will go dig it up. Probably won't be hard because this guy posts like once a day. Um, there's some of it I don't want to show because he gets kind of racist towards the end. I kind of don't want to get into that. How do I show this? Hmm. Maybe I'll just copy and paste it into like a Word document. Maybe that's how I'll do it. Then I can avoid the whole racism part. Um, Here, I'll open a document. Okay, so this is auto translated, so for whatever that's worth. But he's more or less saying, and I'll, the person saying this is this guy here, him. So I'll just kind of put that over here, or maybe I'll put it right there. There we go. Okay, so he in this first paragraph, he more or less says everything I just said. So they're going towards the north, towards Stepova and Berdichi. They're going up against the 47th Mechanized Brigade, who are doing the defense, along with some smaller brigades helping them out. So he says the overall situation for Ukraine armed forces is steadily deteriorating. The enemy has lost the opportunity to conduct serious tactical maneuvers and counterattacks. I'm not sure if that's totally true, but it's at least partially true. The personnel of the units have not been replaced here for a long time. I'm not entirely sure that's true, but it's probably not true, but I'm not sure it's totally true. The intensity of the advance of the armed forces is reduced due to the transfer of reserves from Zaporizhia, Kherson, and Kharkiv directions, which is basically saying that the Russian advance was slowed down by the 47th showing up, which is probably true. However, the armed forces of Ukraine is no longer capable of radically turning the tide of the offensive, which I think is accurate. In order to contain our attacks, the Ukrainian side will have to send in more reserves to Avdiivka, weakening their other directions, which I think is probably true. Now, without slowing the pace of the offensive from Krasnohorivka, the Russian forces were able to. The Russian forces will be able, in the foreseeable future, to expand the bridgehead in the northern flank towards Novokalivanovo and Karamika. The recent strikes by the Russian air forces in the rear fortified area of this forest, it did not disrupt, but it hampered the Ukrainian supply of units in this defense, in the defense of this area. Movement along this northern flank along the rails is objectively beneficial to the Russians since the entire zone is interspersed with hills. Okay, so I think most of what he says is accurate, unfortunately. I don't think Ukraine has the capability of reversing the Russian advance. I think Russia will continue along this railway. I don't think there's much Ukraine can do to slow them down, or not much they can do to stop them. They can probably slow them down, but not stop them. And yeah, I think that's more or less the situation here. I think his summary pretty much got it, and then at the end he gets into some racist stuff that I'm not going to get into. Gick, would you like to say something?
Hello, everyone. I was going to ask, what about my offensive?
you're yeah, the Gick offensive. I don't know. What do you think of your offensive? How did it go?
Well,
Do you think it happened? Did it exist?
Well, something happened. Unfortunately, it wasn't an offensive. But still, I wonder, you know, I mean, I'm always trying to see any positive outs out of a situation. It's hard to see that with Avdiivka, but attacking the flanks is pretty much the only thing I can think of which could release the pressure.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the stream at the moment. Okay, I found the stream. Yeah, there are flanks that are at least on paper vulnerable. I'm not sure if they're vulnerable in reality. So you could attack towards Novobakhmutivka. Now this is very confusing because this is a typical Ukrainian situation that there are two Novobakhmutivkas right next to each other. Now, I'm sorry if this is confusing for people, but there's one Novobakhmutivka to the west and one Novobakhmutivka to the east. Anyway, if Ukraine could attack the eastern Novobakhmutivka, it could hamper Russian advance. But there's this one really enormous problem. And the problem is that Novobakhmutivka is one of the densest minefields in all of Ukraine. So, and we know how Ukraine has done in minefields. It doesn't go well.
Yeah, I guess that's why we only saw some Recon elements, or most likely Recon elements. I mean, it was a significantly sized squad, at least visible on the drone footage. But, well, I was hoping that basically the next videos would follow, but yeah, now it's just that one so far, which means it might have as well been out of context.
Yeah, it could have been old. We don't, know. So the video we're talking about is this one right here. There was some Russian shelling in this position here. I think I don't know what to think of Ukraine being in that spot, because it's kind of an absurd position to be in, because this here, this basically, this whole yellow area is the minefield, and this here, this part was Russia's offensive. So in order for Ukraine to get there, they would have to sneak between a massive minefield and the main thrust of the Russian offensive, which is, it's a weird place to be. So I just don't know what to make of that. Anyway, that was on the first that video came out, so, and we've seen nothing since then.
Well, one thing I can say is that the same unit which uploaded that footage uploaded a bunch of old videos in the meantime. So, yeah, that's my biggest fear.
Yeah. I mean, that video could be from last year. I don't know. There is the other flank that you could attack, which is Novoselivka, which you would attack from New York. In a roundabout way, this would threaten the flank of Krasnohorivka, but you would have to move a rather long distance through difficult to attack area. It's also somewhat difficult to defend because this isn't, unlike most everywhere else, this isn't flat. So that's in itself interesting. It's largely flat, but it's also not entirely flat. There are hills, so that there is terrain here. So that's interesting. Just moving through somewhere that isn't just a giant flat field. There's also a river with bridges. I believe, yeah. Here is this incredibly important bridge that there's a lot of battles over this bridge. It went back and forth and back and forth. Um, but yeah, this this whole area is it at least has terrain to work with. You have something that you can use, though obviously the defender can use it in their advantage too, and also the defender is on the high ground, so that's great. Um, at least it's not flat. Other than that, I'm not sure how you attack the flank. Those are kind of the options. The options are attack a giant minefield or fight uphill. Other than that, I'm not sure. I guess you could try to attack the belly, going through Avdiivka. This seems like all sorts of crazy risky though, because you'd be risking forces in Avdiivka to attack a position that I'm not sure they're capable of capturing. You'd be having to push more resources through Avdiivka when every supply road is under direct threat of like direct fire control. It all seems rather crazy to try that, but I guess
Yeah.
you could.
One thing is that we noted one Bradley destroyed in that area. So 47th seems to be operating in that area as well. Or maybe they shifted entirely to that area.
Um,
It was a bit further south, south of Kamyanka still.
okay. Yeah. So I don't know, dude. I'm not optimistic for Avdiivka. I am hoping that Ukraine is building some line of defense back here. Um, maybe like right here. I'm hoping that's my hope, because I don't think Avdiivka can be held. Like it might be able to you might be able to hold it for 3 months or 4 months or 5 months, but it's gonna fall, I think. Now it took Bakhmut forever to fall, so I'm not gonna predict a date, but I just don't see how Ukraine can hold Avdiivka. Uh, anyways, so this is a tangent or whatever, different topic entirely. I've been going through trying to make a map of the named defensive positions. It's just the named ones. And this is kind of the other day I made like a handful um, of to this map, I guess. So this one is like a position oral, and this is the Anthill and Cuckoo and Republica Mist, and I put Cyclops and Granite up there. So if anyone has a named defensive position that they know the coordinates of, you can send them to me. Gick, do you know any named positions?
Oh no, barely. I was so glad when I found out where Oriel is.
Yeah.
But maybe we can actually offer to name them. Maybe we should donate to name defensive positions.
I don't think we get to name them. The person who captures it gets to name it.
All right.
That's
Can
why it's called
Can we
Oral.
capture one? Maybe, how many are watching the stream? Let's move out right away.
That's why it's called Oral, because the Ukrainian soldier died there. And that was his name, or his call sign. It means eagle. Yeah, there's Zenit. Zenit isn't. I guess I could mark Zenit. Zenit isn't really a named position. It's a building. It's a bunker. But I could put, I guess I could put Zenit. Here, I'll put Zenit. I spelled Zenit wrong. Okay. There. Now there's Zenit. But yeah, I just want to make a map of all these named positions. Because we always get like, this happened like 1 kilometer to the west of this named position. And then we're like, where's that? And then it takes us forever to find it. And I just want to have a map of all those positions. Because they're not like secret. They're public knowledge, at least semi-public. They're not like military secrets, right? So. Anyways, I talked a little bit about Pervomaiske, about how the video that came out today showed a Ukrainian advance here, which was interesting. That Ukraine is apparently controlling more of the southern part of Pervomaiske than we thought. I have been directly told, even though I don't believe it, that Ukraine controls all the way to the highway. Well, not entirely. They told me that they control all the way to the last few houses, and then there's like a few houses of gray area, and then the highway. So they basically said they controlled up to like there. I wasn't brave enough to map it that way, but I was explicitly told that by a soldier who was in this area. But I've just been, he also told me a bunch of other crazy stuff that I know wasn't true, which is why I don't fully believe him. But he might be right. I'm not sure. I guess I could say what he said. He said that Ukraine had also captured part of Pisky from the south, which is not true.
When did he say that? Because I remember like 2 months ago we were speaking about a significant advance in that area, which we couldn't map because there was no evidence.
It was that advance because he was part of that attack, but
Okay.
it was in I don't remember. I don't remember when it was. It was a while ago. It was like 3 months ago. It was like, I think August. I think it was August, because they did the attack where they pushed into this intersection here, and they captured this position here, and I think they got into this intersection there, and he interpreted this for some reason, I don't know why, but he interpreted this as capturing the southern part of Pisky, I'm pretty sure, even though it's not at all. But this was a significant achievement for Ukraine, that they took back a lot of these pretty important positions, and Russia's never been able to push them back, except for this one here. They got pushed back, but only by like half a kilometer. So. So that was all a thing, but he also said they captured part of Pisky, and he also said they controlled all the way down to the highway, except for these last few houses. These last few houses were pounded into nothingness. They were shelled into complete oblivion by peons, I believe. They just shot peons at these houses until there's nothing left. Like I don't think the basements even exist anymore. Like it's just, there's nothing. Anyways, I don't know what else to say about Avdiivka. That's all I gotta say. Down near Novomikhailivka, I heard that this morning there was a large Russian assault here, and I also heard that it was pretty quickly repelled. In fact, I will go see if he's posted an update since then. I don't think he has, but let's see. Sometimes he posts at weird times of day. Maybe he has an update. But yeah, Ukraine knew the attack was coming. They prepared for it. And from what I understand, the attack, as soon as it launched, it was just torn apart by artillery. He has posted, but what did he say? He posted a video of a Gimler being launched, and that's it. That's it. So there's no further update. But anyways, he said that this assault was repelled. I'm not sure where the assault was. The last few assaults that we've seen were all roughly on this line, this arrow. But it's possible that they could have assaulted up this. They could have assaulted over here. They could have assaulted down here or even here. Not sure. There's lots of different possible places to assault, but wherever they assaulted, they were crushed. Okay, so Mikilska. Have you seen anything on Mikilska? I know you were gone most of this week.
Well, I've seen tremendous losses, but not much other than the main attack a couple of days ago.
Yeah, there wasn't much more beyond that. Yesterday there was a video. I believe this was part of that main attack because we know that Russia attacked this tree line during that main attack, but we just didn't know what happened there. We had a video that just showed a giant explosion, but without saying what exploded. It was just a video of a giant explosion, and I believe what that explosion was this BMP-2, I think, because this BMP-2 just catastrophically exploded. There was also over here something exploded. Not sure what. I don't even know if it's Russian, but it was something. And Russians were shooting a bunch of smoke screens, and they did their little assault here with all these BMPs. One of them catastrophically exploded. And yeah, I'm not sure if they took ground like anywhere, to be honest. I know some mappers are saying that they captured this field over here. If they did, I don't care, because it's literally a giant empty field with nothing in it. I don't know if them capturing any tree lines or any major defensive positions, so the map has not changed.
Yeah, I think one thing to note is that there were a lot of Ukrainian advances which were not yet mapped because the evidence was missing, but they were all in that area. So it could as well be that they just retook some ground, which we don't even, or we didn't even know that Ukraine was in.
It's possible.
Yeah. Can I just add one thing, because it just came up?
Sure.
In terms of Avdiivka, it seems like there's a 47th Brigade video with UAVs and Bradleys in Stepove. At least Imi and I, we both immediately agreed it's Stepove. And it shows Russian infantry there. It's basically the first houses of Stepove, which would be quite bad.
Yeah, I fully I mean, the Russian map here, I'm going to use my measurement tool to draw what the Russian map was, because I think this Russian map might actually be accurate. There just hasn't been proof. But they basically said that they control, like, let me measure more. Like this. Let me measure. Okay. So that's basically what the Russians are saying they control. That they have moved up to this kind of tree intersection, that they captured that, and that they control like these houses and those houses and up to there. That's what the Russians were saying that they took today. I've been waiting for more proof, but I don't think it's inaccurate. There just hasn't been solid proof. So if there's a video showing it, then there you go.
Yeah, they're walking into some sort of basement, and the FPV drone follows them. So there's that. But yeah, Russians are definitely across the rail line there.
Yeah. uh, yeah, I just not super optimistic. Just not very optimistic. The distances are just so small. It's so difficult to stop your enemy from moving like 200 meters. Like if they had to move 2 kilometers, maybe you could hold them back. Because then they might move like 300 meters up, and then you could push them back and forth. But when all they have to do is 200 meters, it's like they they just keep attacking and attacking and attacking, and eventually it works out. And then what? It's like the distances are too small. There's no margin of error. That's the part that makes this so difficult. Is Ukraine basically has to be perfect. And if they ever make a mistake, then that's basically the city's lost. That's like kind of the situation. I don't think it's tenable. I don't think you can expect people to be perfect. Anyways, I don't really have anything to say about any of these southern towns. Getting to Rabatina, I don't really have much to say here either. There was this video of Ukrainian infantry being hit by automatic grenade launcher near Novoprokopivka. Ukraine does appear to be pushing south near Novoprokopivka. I'm not sure if they've captured ground or if it's just a gray area. And Ukraine is leveling off this line to the northwest of Verbova. They may have even captured this tree line here. There was a video a few days ago of Ukraine counterattacking a Russian counterattack. The Russian assault, they moved in. Every single Russian died in the assault. And then Ukraine pushed in, and the video shows them basically walking through the dead bodies. So it's possible Ukraine has taken this tree line here, and it's also possible they've taken this tree line there. I don't know if they've taken more than that, but
I have to say that I personally have the feeling that the activity around Novoprokopivka is increasing quite a lot in the last 1 or 2 weeks. We saw several mechanized assaults as well with the destroyed Leopards and the what was it, the M113 next to it, and the BTR, I think. And I'm wondering, I made a joke about that, but I'm wondering if the Kherson bridgehead and the further continuation of that famous breach, is a correlation.
it could be.
And I'm worried because at this point I put more trust in a bridgehead across the river, digging into a forest and continuing there. But of course it depends on what units did the Russians shift.
I don't know if Russia needs to shift any frontline units to defend Kherson. That's the problem. That's really kind of the underlying problem, is that Russia has so many reserves that they don't need to really sacrifice their front line in order to defend other places. And that this is, I think, the error that Ukraine had in their calculations and in their assumptions on their offensive this year. I think they thought, and I think a lot of people in general thought, that Russia had fewer reserves than they did, and that if Ukraine stressed those reserves, that they could break through. But it turned out that just wasn't true. That Russia had far more reserves, and that Ukraine was not meaningfully stressing Russia's capacity to have reserves in general. So, and I think this is a calculation that people are still making that error even now. That Russia is is like being overstretched, and I don't think that's true. Like I don't think Russia has that issue.
Well, I would argue that there's one point which Russia does typically, and that's not applying defense in depth. Because if you play defense in depth properly, then I would agree with your statement entirely. But given that Russia keeps counterattacking any lost ground, you kind of need capable units around. So it's not only down to stuffing more reserves into trenches next to the front line or in the front line itself.
Well, I don't know how well trained their reserves are. We do know that they have some exceptionally good units, especially around Novoprokopivka. To be honest, I've seen a lot of video of Russians fighting, and the guys in Novoprokopivka, I think, are the most professional forces that Russia has. They are very good. They do things that require extensive training, timing different assets, like having artillery, tanks, and infantry timed and coordinated, and not a one-off event, like doing it over and over again. It's just they're very, very good. They are a professional force. Now, a lot of Russian forces, I can't say that about. There's a lot of Russian forces that they seem like a clown show. They don't really seem like they know what's going on. So, but the force in Novoprokopivka, I think, is by far the most professional I've seen out of Russia, which is worrying to me. I don't really like seeing that. I don't like seeing them so well coordinated with, especially it's not just like infantry coordinated with infantry, but it's like artillery and helicopters and airplanes and everything working together. They definitely know what they're doing, but I don't know how many of them there are. I don't know if it's like a battalion or a brigade or what, and I don't know how well trained everyone else is around them. Like if those guys took casualties and had to withdraw or something, what, like, how would like the next line do? Like, I have no idea. Um, yeah, so it does seem that Ukraine is activating. They've pushed back in this area here where those very professional soldiers had pushed Ukraine back previously. They are advancing over here to the west of Rabatana. They might be they might be attacking Novoprokopivka directly, not sure, and there are advances near Verbova, and it is important to note that every Ukrainian advance in this area is up against very stiff Russian counterattacks. Russia's not giving up this land easily. They, like, well, maybe with the exception of this part here. I don't remember seeing any counterattacks up here, although it just may have been that they never published the video, but definitely this southern part was under stiff counterattacks. This area is definitely under very, very, very strong counterattacks, and here is like constant counterattacks, like all day, every day counterattacks. So all these Ukrainian advances are in the face of Russians doing everything they can to push Ukraine back. And yeah, the Russian forces in Novoprokopivka are VDV, but saying they're VDV doesn't necessarily mean anything because it's like some VDV are better than others, but these are like actually VDV. I think. I mean, there's a lot of VDV that are just conscripts basically. But these are the real deal. These are like actual soldiers. Now to just skim past kind of this Nikopol area, there was pretty much constant shelling in the Nikopol area. Now, if I remember correctly, it was Vodiana. Today, Ukraine reported that they destroyed 2 artillery pieces in Vodiana, so that was cool. There's shelling going on around Novo-Alexandrivka, which is interesting. We don't often get information from there, but today we did. And generally speaking, there's shelling in Novorosiysk. There's a bunch of information came out about this. 4 people were wounded, I believe. So that was kind of a big deal. There's a lot of information came out. You can go click on that and read the sources if you're interested. There's been kind of shelling and drone attacks and airstrikes in Zimivka, and also in Berislav, and especially in Mykolaievka. It's been getting pretty heavily bombed, like basically every single day. And yeah, so do you want to talk about this bridgehead?
Oh, I'm not sure. I mean, there's not too much detail. I mean, you summarized pretty much exactly my opinion in one of the last streams. I think it was last week ago, when you talked about digging into the forest and how it could be hard to get the Ukrainians out of there again. I mean, that sums it up pretty well. I think in terms of what we hear about Kherson, it might be that the Russians are fed up with that bridgehead and might be, starting their own proper counterattacks now. I don't know if you want to speak more to that.
Yeah, it appears that over the past maybe 2 days, Russia has been moving in forces to destroy this bridgehead, to crush it. Basically, they're done with it. They're just sick of it. So this is kind of a pivotal moment for Ukraine. So if and when Russia launches their attack, which is probably currently going on, but I don't think it's reached its full potential yet. But if and when Russia does this, Ukraine will basically have 2 choices. Their first choice would be to defend the bridgehead and, whether that means bringing in their heavier assets, like maybe those archers, maybe their Caesars, their heavier artillery that can rapid fire shells very quickly with high accuracy. Also Gimlers. So you could bring in those sorts of things, their air force, and maybe move more infantry across the river. So that's one choice. The other choice is to pull out. So Ukraine's going to have to choose one or the other, and that's going to be a pivotal moment. Because if Ukraine can successfully defend the bridgehead, I think it will fundamentally change this war. But defending that bridgehead is going to be extremely difficult.
Yeah, I think it's also going to be interesting to see if Ukraine is able to actually deploy some airframes, some helicopter assets, maybe.
I'm not so sure helicopters are going to make a big difference here.
Oh, I think it would, in terms of how the soldiers on the other side of the river feel, in terms of Kazivek and so on.
I don't know. Do you mean Russian helicopters or Ukrainian?
No, Ukrainian helicopters.
I don't know. I don't know how much helicopters bring to this, but
I do think that for morale, it's quite important if you know there's there's some sort of quick way out in case you get injured.
But can you actually fly the helicopter across without getting shot down? Like, I don't know.
Well, there are rumors that Ukraine was operating them right over Krinky, if I remember correctly. Wasn't it Romanov who was crying about it?
I thought they were just flying up and shooting rockets and flying away, because you could do that from like 5, 7, 8 kilometers away.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I think he was crying about how Ukraine had the had the bravery basically to fly to Krinky.
Yeah, like you could shoot them from like back there. I think you could shoot them from pretty far away. I don't think you even need to cross the river to do that.
So yeah, what's your bet?
I think Ukraine's just going to pull out. It would be crazy. Like, it would be ballsy to defend the bridgehead. It would be ballsy. It would, you would have to really commit to it. There's no you can't halfway defend a bridgehead. It's really all or nothing. So if you commit to defending that, like, I think it's possible for Ukraine to defend it. But in doing so, all of the assets you would need to defend this bridgehead are the exact identical assets you need to defend Avdiivka. And they are limited assets. Very, very limited. So anything you do to defend this bridgehead, you are hurting Avdiivka. I think pretty much by definition. So, I mean, I think you could move all of your archers here. You could move your Caesars here. You could pop tons of cluster munitions. Think of the reload rates on these things. They reload so quickly, especially the archers. You could really pump a lot of artillery out in a very short period of time. You could really, really catastrophically damage Russian counterattacks. But these are all extremely limited resources. And anything you do to defend it, you're taking away from Avdiivka.
But I don't know if you read Soluzhny today, but it sounded like Soluzhny kind of already considers Avdiivka as a lost battle for Russia. So maybe they're just betting on Russia running out of steam.
I don't know. I don't know. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, it didn't make sense to me either, but it kind of read like that.
I don't know about that.
Or maybe that was his way of preparing everyone for a potential loss of Avdiivka. But anyway, I do think it's good to know. Today we saw the Gilmer strike there in Kherson. It's good to know that HIMARS is in the area. So that's one asset you will need.
Yep. That was over here. So
yeah. We do know that drones are basically protecting Krinky from both sides.
Yeah, which is very important.
Absolutely. I mean, it's air superiority. Yeah, and I think the rest it just comes down to how many barrels there are and how many are zeroed in on the approaches. And then
yeah. I mean, that's why, like, something like an archer that has the incredible reload rate, they fire so fast. Was it like a 4-second reload or something? It's so stupid. You could dump so many shells in such a short period of time on any of these roads. There's so few roads to get there. There's really two. If you see them coming from one way, you see them coming on your drone, and you just go pop, 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 pop with all your archers. And I think you could hold this if you really wanted to. I think Ukraine has the resources. It's just they don't have that many resources, and you have to spend them wisely. And I don't know if this is the wisest place, but if you're gonna double down on a bridgehead, Russia's gonna do their massive attack. They're gonna do everything they can to push you out. And if you can hold on and maybe even expand the bridgehead through those counterattacks, I think that'll fundamentally change this war. It would be a turning point. But
Yeah,
again, I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're just going to withdraw.
I think it's, I'm trying to stay positive. I think that is currently the only thing I'm really looking forward to in terms of what to still expect this year. I think it's the only thing that Ukraine could really, or where Ukraine could really still achieve some significant victory on the current battlefield. So I'm trying to stay positive. I'm going to bet against you just for the sake of it.
Yeah, I guess there's three possible outcomes. The one outcome is they withdraw. One outcome is they defend it. And the third outcome is they take catastrophic losses, failing to defend it. I guess those are three outcomes.
Yeah, and actually the fourth one, maybe they use the old pontoon bridges at Kozari Lahiri, which might still be there, right? They were they were invisible all along.
They're submersible pontoons.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to see it in a positive way. I do have hopes. At the same time, I'm really worried that the overall gamble by Ukraine might have been to, use this as a trading card for another push at Novopolka, and that would scare me.
I hope not. I hope not. Please, just no more breach. No more breach. Alright, so there's another conversation that I want to have, but I have to sneeze, so I'm gonna mute myself. Well, I forgot how to mute myself.
It's okay. Oh yeah, we heard it.
No, you heard it. You heard it, but they didn't hear it.
Oh, they didn't hear it, but I heard it. You made me suffer.
Yeah,
the rest didn't have to.
Anyway, there's one other topic that I kind of wanted. Oh, there is another. Well, I want to talk about this first. So you had your idea for the geolocation thing. What was your idea for the geolocation thing?
Oh, you mean the Discord?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right. So that was one thing which we are working on with. Actually, what's his Twitter name? Do you know?
I do know, but I forgot.
Well, he's alive as well on Discord, so I'm not sure if it's the same on Twitter. Anyway, so what was it?
Keep talking.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So anyway, we were discussing with him the possibility to basically use a script to scrape Telegram and to check new videos basically against their hash values against old videos. So the purpose of this is that, of course, if you're in 20 channels, 19 of them will repost the video of the first channel. And only sometimes they actually do edit the video. So only sometimes they add new watermarks and so on. Hence, the hash value often stays the same. And he coded some script for us, which now puts any new link to a new video onto our Discord here. The overall purpose, of course, is to make our work in geolocating stuff more efficient. And my personal idea was to maybe create some sort of Discord for other geolocators as well, where we could collaborate and new videos would get posted there, or new links would get posted there, and you could basically then just mark or upload new videos, open threads, and so on, discuss about the geolocations and so on. So that's the collaboration Discord, more or less, on geolocations. But I think one of the first steps was actually to reach out to other geolocators which might be listening on stream to see if they would want to collaborate on that. And of course, that I think that wouldn't be any sort of protected source or protected forum or something like that. But instead, of course, anyone from GeoConfirmed or UA Control Map and so on would, of course, also be in that Discord if they would want to do so. So yeah, I think that was the idea you wanted me to talk about, right?
Yeah. So yeah, like right now we have it's not fully done yet. There's still some issues need to work out, but we have a proof of concept of a bot that collects the videos, and what we need is more geolocators. Hopefully at least like one or two more would be nice. There's another thing that is semi-related but also completely unrelated. I would really like someone who specializes in Shahed strikes. Someone who basically just follows Shahed strikes. So if you know anyone who specializes in Shahed strikes, I would very much like to have such a person on the team, because I would like to map Shahed strikes. Like there's a certain amount of OPSEC to the Shaheds in that you might not want to map them precisely because they can give away all sorts of information that we don't necessarily want to give out. But I would also like to have at least a rough map, like so we can track roughly what's going on. It doesn't have to be perfect, because perfect is probably bad. but something rough, I would very much like to track the Shaheds. So, but I just don't have time. Tracking Shaheds and also the KH-101s, basically both, and maybe even the KH-59s, basically missile strikes. Tracking missile strikes is basically a full-time job. It's actually very difficult. So yeah, so if anyone wants to specialize in that, and that'd be great. I'd appreciate that. I've been looking for this for like a year, and I haven't found anyone. But. Anyways, there's one more topic for today that we can talk about. There were boats hit by smaller boats. What do we know about these boats?
Well, they're both landing ships, small landing ships. So it's none of the big ones, but big enough to carry troops.
Yeah. Do we know the extent of the damage?
I think they were both burning. I'm pretty sure they're gone.
They're gone.
At least I would say they're gone.
Okay. Do you know how many times they were hit?
I think the video showed 3 USVs, whereas I'm not sure if the third one even hits or if the third one just shows them burning. I need to rewatch that because it was early in the morning.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it was 3 USVs. So 2 definitely hit, and I think the third one, I'm not sure if the stream cuts when hitting, or if it just showed it from further away. But it might have hit as well, of course. But I said, I mean, they're smaller boats. Yeah, you can destroy them with one probably.
Yeah, so that was interesting. Everybody was very excited when I woke up this morning. Everybody was talking about this. There was a lesser excitement about there was a missile warning in Odessa, very specifically this part of Odessa. Now I don't actually know what happened to this missile warning. The warning was not that long ago. and I think I started to stream before I learned more, but it is very often that a missile warning in this location doesn't necessarily mean that this location's under attack, because this back here uh, is obviously on the other side. So what seems to happen is they put out a warning for this area on the coast, and then perhaps like Ismail gets hit. Not always, but that seems to be a pattern. So anyway, there's a missile warning in Odessa. There was interceptions in Mykolaiv overnight, interceptions near Kryvyi Rih, and interceptions near Dnipro. So these are all Ukrainian air defense doing their thing. There was also an apparent assassination today in Mariupol. A car was car bombed. I can't remember who. Do you know who the person was? I think he was like a cop, like a head of the police or something.
No, I don't. I didn't even read that news, to be honest.
Okay.
I saw you talking about it on Discord, and then I just skipped that channel basically because I knew you already scraped it.
Yeah, there's Kurovo. That's his name. I don't actually know who he is. I just know that's his name. Yeah, I don't really know anything about him. There's a video though. This is the video. If I remember right, he has something to do with the police, like the head of police or something like that. But I don't know.
Do you remember when the strike on Skadovsk was?
That was yesterday. The strike on Skadovsk was yesterday. It was right here. We had some images. Romanov posted some stuff. I mean, lots of people posted it, but Romanov posted it without watermarks, which was nice. So this is that hit. None of these show the gruesome aftermath, of which the aftermath was quite gruesome.
Yeah, I mean, the videos of the aftermath came out today, I think, shows people in uniform. So there's that at least.
Yeah, there was another strike in Skadovsk a few days ago. In fact, the news yesterday, I thought they were talking about this attack on Skadovsk a few days ago, because there's an explosion and a large fire, and I never learned what actually happened. And then there's another explosion yesterday.
Yeah, and I think it's still not entirely clear who was hit in that strike yesterday, because I read something about FSB, and then I read something about drone operators. So I'm not entirely sure who was hit.
Skadovsk has been a headquarters for Russia for over a year, really. They were initially using this southwestern part of the town for their headquarters. Some of these hotels don't exist anymore because they were destroyed by Gimlers, and other stuff. Storm Shadow too. So they used to be down here, and all those buildings exploded. They moved over to like the other side of town, like over here, and I think some of those exploded, and now they're like in the middle of town, and those are exploding too. So everywhere they go, it explodes.
I know a place where they could go where it doesn't explode.
Back to Russia.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Also, I'm confused. Why does it give a German borough name there? If you zoom in, it reads Ostbezirk. That means literally Eastern District in German. Yeah, right there. That's confusing.
I don't know what to tell you.
Maybe someone in the chat is Ukrainian, knows that place. it's very odd.
But it clearly doesn't say that in Ukrainian. That's like the English name. I don't understand. Anyways, we have a question about the missile strike on Odessa the other day. That wasn't Odessa. Where was that missile strike? I forgot. Oh, it was here. and I was lied to. I was lied to. It's actually over here. So this ship was struck by an anti-radiation missile, apparently. Some people are still debating that, but I don't think it's worth debating. I think it's... Let me put it this way. The Russian Air Force came out and said, we hit that ship with an anti-radiation missile. And everybody is like, I don't know, I don't believe you. So, anyways, so this ship was hit by an anti-radiation missile. It caused damage to the top of the ship, where the radar is, and it wounded / killed people from the Philippines, I think. Yeah, 3 crew were wounded, and 1 died. So, what is the impact of this missile? I don't really know. I think the impact on the ship is minimal. The ship is totally capable of operating. It can sail around and be a ship. Like the damage to the ship is minimal. What it does to like shipping insurance and things of that nature, I have no idea. Probably not good things. It's probably not good for your insurance premium. Yeah. So I don't know how much it would raise the insurance. I don't know if this damage, like incidents like this, may be factored into the cost of the insurance already. Like I don't know how that works. I don't know all the assumptions they've made and their cost analysis and everything.
But do you know if that ship sailed there recently?
I'm pretty sure it had like just arrived, right? And it hadn't turned the radar off yet.
Okay.
So yeah, that's kind of everything. I don't know what else to talk about. We got it all. Oh, last night there was a giant fire in Venezia. I don't think this fire had anything to do with anything, but it was a gigantic warehouse fire. So I mapped it. Anyways, that's all I got. I might do another stream this weekend, looking for green eyeballs, because there was a clear map, a clear satellite pass the other day that I haven't had time to look at, because I was busy this week. This week was not fun. This week made me want more geolocators. That's my conclusion. What do you think, Gick? We need more.
Well, I was gone, so
It was just me. I was so stressed. I was just like sitting here trying to find stuff all day and all night. I didn't sleep for like 4 days.
but I did. We should take turns.
Yeah. Like honestly, like 1 or 2 more geolocators would really reduce the stress by a lot. It would be pretty nice. Another thing that we need is a someone who can identify vehicles very well. And I don't mean identifying a vehicle from like a high res image. Anybody can do that. I mean identifying a vehicle from an FPV drone when you have like 3 pixels. That would also be nice. Like that's on my wish list. Someone who can identify vehicles, someone who tracks Shaheds and X101s, and at least like 2 more geolocators. That'd all be great. And then we could make the map better, with more geolocations and better data. It'd be great. Anyways, so that's the stream. We'll be back later or next week with more news. Oh, and there probably is going to be a non Ukraine stream soon. Maybe this weekend. I'm not sure.
Can you give us hints about what it is going to be about?
Oh, there's a lot of people don't know my background, and they're like interested in like why I do stuff with Ukraine. So we might do a stream on my background.
So you're gonna show the smooth transition from baseball to Ukraine.
Yeah.
the logic transition.
Yeah. So I'm not sure when that stream is going to happen. It'll happen as soon as we can get all three people in one place. Which I don't know when that will be. But anyway, there'll be a Green Eyeball stream probably this weekend, maybe tomorrow. And then maybe that stream at some point. And then other than that, we'll be back in the news on Tuesday at the normal time. Anyways, so goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.